Hello there, and welcome to this new video. Today we'll be discussing what Barcelona could have done playing against PSG. This match right here, a 4-1 defeat because of this red card at the 29th minute from Ronald Araujo. So today we'll be dealing with this exact lineup and what Xavi, in my opinion, could have done to keep the lead and not concede 4 goals. Eventually, Araujo suspended, right? So basically he's off the field. Put him to the side. So basically you have 3 in the back now. Cancelo, Kubarsi, and Koundé, with Gundogan, De Jong, and Pedri in the middle. Rafinha, Lewandowski, and Yamal up top. So generally what happened was Inigo Martinez was to go in for Yamal. And that's what ruined the game. Playing Inigo Martinez, eventually what Xavi managed to do is play a 4 in the back again. Playing Inigo here, and then bringing a 4-4-1 formation, as Pedri got to be as a right mid, Gundogan as a center mid, De Jong as well, as Rafinha was to move down to play as a left mid, and basically you'd have this setup. A 4-4-1, basically a 4-4-2 if Araujo were still in the game, but Lewandowski was to play up top all alone. So this was his original plan, but it failed as his counter-attack was to bring everyone up front. And that's something they couldn't do because the opposition was coming down through these flanks as these two were being wide open. Kubarsi was tended to go within the field, and so is Martinez. And there was no room for any defense support as they were too late by the end, and it was just their staying against the 1v1s. And also, bad defense work rate from Martinez. He did not appear the whole match. But generally, yes, this is what Xavi intended to do with his substitution. By my opinion, that was the worst decision he could have done in the match. So right, we come out with this lineup. Yamal getting substituted. But I'd say that he could have just removed the sub because he was defending well. He was helping Koundé on the counter-attack with Barcola. But eventually, he was defeated as Yamal was no longer a support there. So going back to the original formation without Koundé, you have these two wingers, De Jong, Gundogan, and Pedri. Basically you have a 3-3-3 formation. But what he could have done is taking Lewandowski out. And he could have done that, but in my opinion, otherwise, a better thing he could have done is kept the formation. Instead, he could have put Cancelo to play in his proper position, Kubarsi and Koundé to play in the proper positions, or play Koundé as a right. And I believe De Jong would understand that in this case of need, because of this red card, he would come down and play central. That way, you have a 4 in the back with a De Jong counterpart playing as a defensive midfielder. Basically, you have Kubarsi in the middle, but in any instances, De Jong his job would be to come back, Kubarsi to move to the right, and De Jong to fit in the left. That way, you have a blockade here, but Lewandowski will be here to cover. And just like that, or you could eventually move Gundogan to cover De Jong's space and bring in Rafinha, or vice versa. We could have gone Gundogan to go here, Pedri to move himself to the left, and Yamal to come down. That way you're playing with a 4-3-2 formation. There's Rafinha and Lewandowski are the ones to play up top. But you could have done a more better addition by placing Rafinha as an attacking midfielder. That way these three can produce play and defend at the same time, while you'd be playing a 4-3-1-1. Rafinha to pass to Lewandowski and Lewandowski to shoot. No changes were needed. I did not understand this change for Yamal, as he was playing exceptionally. And plus, for a 16-year-old on his Champions League run in the round of 16, he could have done. At half-time, at this point, I believe it would have been 1-1. A penalty would have been conceded by Cancelo. And it would eventually be 1-1. But this would be the lineup he would have kept, because it's a more defensive work rate, as Gundogan can sit in the middle of the defense and contradict anyone coming through the middle or through any flank. And De Jong, Cancelo to block in Dembele, Gundogan to block in Mbappe, Kubarsi, Koundé, and Yamal to cover in for Barco. Pedri will also cover in against Dembele, as Gundogan would eventually defend Mbappe, but Rafinha, since he was going up and down constantly in a defensive act, he would also be required to use his force against Mbappe. You would eventually have 3 on one wing, 3 on the other, and 2 defending Mbappe. You'd have Lewandowski up here, but I'd choose him to just run up to the middle and wait for the ball until the counter-attack is to be played. And that way he can move up and then the play to begin, as these two go back in position. I'd rather have De Jong to play here, Kubarsi here, and then Koundé and Cancelo on the wings. And if more narrow attack is coming from PSG, I'd rather have Koundé and Cancelo to be close with Koundé and Cancelo, as De Jong will be coming down. That way it gives time for the rest of the players that are on the field to move back down and help in the defense. The only one I'd kept up top is Lewandowski for any ball, as he could be a target man and eventually defend his backline or defend his front line, as to eventually offer some time for the attack to form and to be able to pass it to them and then move central in order for them to pass it back. In that way, you had an exceptional tactic without taking one of your players off. And eventually, he had exceptional changes as well. He could have done. Pedri was one of the worst changes he could have done. Could have played a much better simulated formation. But yeah, this would eventually be the tactic I'd much rather him prefer use against PSG. This red card was eventually not to be taken so seriously, but he took it too seriously as he got sent off as well. But eventually, this is the type of idea I would have suggested him. I don't know why he didn't play it. He had De Jong, and if De Jong didn't want to play defensively, we'd have Gundogan. He's also an expertise in defense work rates. And if the width was being unblocked by the PSG attack, Pedri and Yamal could be there to either blockade any width De Jong's central positions. You have Koundé and Cancelo to also narrowly fall in and defend, while Pedri and Yamal can cover in for them. You have coverage everywhere. You don't need to use all the players. You only need 7 to blockade the whole PSG attack. Just play 2 up front, which is Rafinha, which is a playmaker to receive the ball and playmake, or to be a target man in a way to everyone was to go up front, and then not everyone. Keep 3 at all times. You could split them, or you could keep them as is until both wingbacks come back down and you have the more defensive side. Could play like this. This is simple. I don't understand what it was this complications. Barcelona would have still been in the Champions League if it weren't for that. But yeah, that's about it. Comment down below what other tactic or what you think Xavi could have done instead of this tactic I suggested. And leave a thumbs up and come back if you enjoy this. Thank you.